Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Allayah as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Allayah, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio on OMTimes Radio. And welcome to the sanctuary. And I hope you're all enjoying the solace, day of balance. Today's special day that I bring my friend back, Charlie the Riverman. And we have a, impromptu talk. I call this series, the heart to soul, the soul to heart. The label doesn't matter. It's, we bring forth something from our higher selves, and we never know what we're going to say. It just kind of happens, very impromptu. So just saying this, I want you to realize neither of us are experts or leaders or teachers. We're just two souls on a journey. Right, Charlie?
That's a beautiful way to put it. I was thinking about that thought this morning. I mentioned that to a woman this morning. I said it's all about the journey. The destination is always nice to have in your mind to say, I would like to get somewhere, or I'd like to achieve something, etc., as a goal, as a sort of a focus point. But it's all about the journey, and so. Both you and I are, as well as everybody listening, are on amazing journeys, each in their own specific way. And partly if we can just relax into that journey and not struggle as much with it, we'd be amazed at how quickly things change.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And I know before in our little brief talk we had thrown out over the past couple of weeks or whatever the words choices and compassion, and then you threw a new one in this morning, changes, and
Judgments.
Judgments, which all of us are really finding amazingly prevalent. I'd say prevalent in our daily walk these days. And I just wanted to say before we came on, there were two little blurbs on the IOMS radio. And I thought, when we planned the show, neither did any of us or none of us ever expect that there would be students who died in a collapsed balcony in Boston from Ireland, nor did we expect for a shooter to be in that horrible
mindset,
and create all of that negative action. And those were the two things that were on just before, as I'm sort of like in a meditative spot, waiting to come on. And I said, here we are thinking about choices and compassion. And how real is that as a symbol of wrong choices or incorrect choices, or choices that, rather than judging them, choices that could have been made otherwise, and the results of those which have raised the compassion in all of us to reflect that we could have been both the perpetrator or the victim.
There's no such things as victims in a way. If you look at it as soul contracts, that's what sometimes I have to step back and look at the bigger picture. And I don't always get the bigger picture, but it's soul contracts. It's sort of a universal mindset, or saying, like you said, choices people make. Let's say if the people who design the building, or the people that bought the supplies, if they made a better choice, something wouldn't happen. The thing for the victims, is this a soul contract, something being brought up so the universal says, be mindful, be careful?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that's what hit you when I spoke that is the word victim, and I understand completely. It's a sort of a paradigm label that we've been programmed into sensing and feeling, and we've all felt that energy of what is labeled as victimization. If we look beyond that on a soul level, in essence, we are all energy, and we are consciously aware of a lot more than we think we are at higher levels of ourselves. When we're in this third dimension, we're not always consciously aware, and that's kind of what we're trying to break through and as a result of planetary shifts, energetic shifts, we're becoming more consciously aware. And so, yes, the word victim, there really doesn't exist.
No, it seems
it's a
like
description. It's a description of an energetic action
or no choice.
Right. Okay. No
whereas,
choice. Right.
Whereas the souls that are involved in this drama, they came into this incarnation making this choice. Okay, we're going to be here certain times, whatever, and it's sort of like a preconceived drama.
Right. That true. I think that on all levels of our beingness, I'm trying to find the words. I'm not a fan of the words soul contract. Okay. And this is me personally, and I'm just going to try to explain that. What I sense, and I look and I say this in my own personal experience, is that many times when we think of the word contract, again, we think of it playing out to a final destination or a final action. But I've learned, and I understand now, that can change at any moment.
Yeah, you can to expand upon that, I totally agree. Sometimes words aren't, they're limited, because even when a person like myself does a reading, and maybe I see something, I'll never say to the person such and such, because instead kind of steer them away or say you can make different choices in the matter. Mm-hmm. So this so-called contract, which is not a great word, but it's the only word to use at the moment to experience life on this planet, can be redefined, like you said, at any time.
Yeah, it's like a blueprint. It would be, I look at it as more of a blueprint that can be rewritten, that can be edited, that can be changed, that can be reconfigured. And a lot of times during the process of creating something, I build with wood and things, we create something, and then something comes through and say, but this is a much better idea, or this is and then sometimes we can say, you know what, this is it, I'm done. I'm not going to go any further. This is what it's going to be, whether anybody likes it or they don't like it. So here are these choices that we make, continually editing our experience in this flesh body.
So it's also like I said, we're expounding on the word choices, but it's also mindfulness to be constantly present, not to worry about the past or the future, but to be present and to make good choices. Or if you need to make sometimes bad choices to learn something or to experience something, that can add into the mix also. But to make mindful choices.
Mm-hmm. Mindful choices. That's wonderful. Mindful choices, because it takes away from good, bad, up, down, in, out, and that form of duality and separation. So mindful choices are choices that are, to me, and I would define it as in alignment with our hearts. So it's not just the mind, which is inherently running in the background 94/7, just like the computer hard drive is in the back of this computer. It's running 24/7, doing its thing and throwing out information. But mindfulness is sort of a collaboration and a co-creation between our heart and our mind. So we're consciously aware from our highest level of knowingness that we're able to tap into at any given moment in our physical journey here. And for each of us, that shifts. And the more mindful choices we make, the greater the ability to tap into higher levels of ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I know we're going to expound on this after the break more, but it's all about the heart energy, thinking from the heart, speaking from the heart, the whole 9 yards. Because if you trace it back, we're all part of Source. We're all part of a unified consciousness that came into the planet through, it's an energy incarnated into a physical body so we could experience and feel and, all that.
And work out a lot of things that can't be done on other levels.
Right.
In the same manner. And so, again, as part of soul contracts, to sort of recircle this is before the break, is that, so that's where I look at when I think of soul contracts is that this is what we came here to do and what we are doing, and we're working that out. And if we stay in tune with our hearts, they will appear more readily and they'll appear in easier forms. We don't always have to do it the hard way. Mm-hmm. And that's just because the easy way is from the heart.
Well, I was going to say, while we're on break, Charlie, I'm going to sit here and try to think. Let's think of a new word.
You go, girl.
Okay. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business. And share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
You can't change the world if you're broke. I know. I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Okay, we're back with my friend Charlie the Riverman, and I'm going, well, you were talking about soul contracts, which I'm really glad you brought up. It seems like, okay, this doesn't fit us anymore. We need another word. And I was
Well,
getting something like one heart, or I don't know. Can you?
I let that go. And I let that go, and the only reason I let that go was because I think we're all can realize that we're entering into a state of our evolution for which there are no words.
Oh yeah.
Our language, the language that we use, is not sufficient any longer. Okay, now I don't know where we're heading as far as language, whether we're going to talk in light language or we're going to expand into some other energetic form of language. But the language that has served humanity for all of these years is no longer, it was created in order to form a storyline and to talk about it and be able to teach it and practice it and program the mind into fitting into a pattern. Well, that pattern is all shifting now. Mm. So this is why I think we're running into issues with words not being able to fully describe what we're feeling and what we're sensing. You and I work from a very sensory perception arena, and there are many empathic people who are listening and in the world who have struggled with this. They feel something, they sense something, but there aren't any words to describe it. And when they do go to describe it, it comes out all muddled and misinterpreted.
Oh, that's true.
and so it brings us back to this sense of awareness that things are different. And in that difference, we're kind of going through a period of where we're trying to draw in from the new awareness that we're receiving and buffer what we've been through and come to a balance which will serve the collective whole rather than just a few individuals who are just, consciously becoming aware, and the few individuals who are staying pretty much in the same patterns that they've always been in. There's a bridging period. I think we're in this bridging period. You and I, when we get back to soul contracts, you and I and many others are here for that purpose. We're the bridgers. We're the bridgers. We're holding arms linked hand in hand, or maybe hand to feet. I don't know, spanning this space. You and I spoke earlier about younger generations, how many of us, they bring up our judgments. And I think about that, and it was because their energy is different. And it doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just we're not used to that intensity or that frequency of energy. They're quite comfortable.
Yeah, do you think they're more... Not exactly that they don't come from the heart, but I think the energy is more from the crown. I mean, they can be wonderful, caring people.
That's a good thought. Yeah, no, that's very important that we look at that. We who have lived a long span of living experiences in this incarnation. And I always refer to this incarnation because we've incarnated, many of us have incarnated many times here. And so that's kind of a moot point. It doesn't really matter anymore. But there are new beings coming into this, into the planetary energy that are new. They've not been here many times, or they've not been here before. But because of the shifting of energies, they're now putting this into their sort of soul contract package, saying, hey, look, this is what's happening. This is where I am. I'm signing up for this. I want to go here, and I can bring what I have, and it can help me to work on my issues with whatever in another dimension, and then say, but at the same time, we're just empowering the planet and the universe, and this is what we're here for. So when we get back to soul contracts, this is kind of what we're doing on another level.
Or is it cycle? Because when you're talking, I'm sitting here picture Charlie and I as youngsters. Okay.
That's a scary thought. No.
And how we appear to our parents, and every time they go, "Oh, I remember the old days," mm-hmm. and we're going, "No, we see this, we see that," and we're doing the same thing that these new kids are coming in. It's sort of like a cycle.
It is a cycle. The gift is that for us, we are willing to see beyond it. Whereas our parents and our grandparents, et cetera, weren't. They were stuck in their paradigm. We realize that the paradigm that we live in is disappearing. It's evolving, but it's actually there's a word for it. I can't put my hand on, but it's sort of vanishing right while we're in the middle of it.
Disintegrating. I was going to say disintegrating because if you think of higher vibrations, it shakes loose everything. Exactly.
So what it's able to morph. When it happens, when it dissolves like that, and the dissolution of it, it allows all the quantified fields to be able to shift and change in freedom. Okay, there's freedom, and so this is what we're experiencing. So that's when we use these words to try to describe things, and that's why personally I try not to, but you have to, because it's our language, and the only way we can convey to each other certain processes is that it's more important that we're aware of this rather than how we speak of it. But at the same time, we have to become aware of how we're speaking about it. And realize that when we speak and the words we use are a choice. And if the choice doesn't fit, then either don't say it or find a new way to try to explain it. Because that's us stepping out of our comfort zone. Mm. Because we're very comfortable with what we've been, we've done. We're very comfortable. And so again, as new energy, younger children with different energies, different frames of energy frequency, enter into our fields. First thing goes up is it's a trigger. And so it triggers. So what does it trigger? It triggers all our old patterning, all our old way of thinking, all of our experiences that we are consciously aware of. And instead of saying, this is something new, this is not what I think it is, this could be the greatest gift to humanity, I'm just not aware of it yet. Then it opens the field. I think, and that's, I'm looking at a meme here on my screen, and the meme is awareness precedes choice, and choice precedes results.
And results equal one heart, one mind, oneness.
Oneness, right. Because this is where we're headed. We're headed to return to balance, to rebalance, to recalibrate not only the physical planet, but the energy that this physical planet represents within this universe. And not only that, what this universe, the energy of this universe, which it represents within the galaxy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, as the microcosm is the macrocosm, et cetera, what happens is each of us, part of our, what you call soul contract, is to be here and do this now in this physical form. We can wait. We can die. We can choose to die, and we can choose to come back in a younger form if we want to. I mean, there's nothing that says we can't. But just like you and I having near-death experiences, when we return to the light, we, on some level, we became, no, I'm doing this now. I'm not missing this opportunity, or at least for me. I'm not missing. I'm not passive. This is what I came here for. This is what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm doing it in this body. I don't know what I'm doing it in this mind. But I know that on my higher spirit level, my soul level, I'm right on target. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So whatever comes out of my mouth is going to come out of my mouth. And I'm going to either live to learn that it's something I don't need anymore, and that's why it came out, or it's something that's newly profound and something I'm going to head like a bullet towards.
Or sometimes we put our foot in our mouth.
Well, no, it's, so we have a foot fetish. What so we're human. It's okay to have a foot fetish. And again, I laugh and I make jokes because sometimes we take ourselves all too damn seriously, really, and we need to lighten up and have with it. But as we saw, the heaviness of what we started out with was the death and chaos and heinous crimes, et cetera, that exists all in the same moment. And so all of that serves a purpose. It's all teaching us. We have a responsibility to make choices as a result of those things that we encounter and come before us. And every time we do, if we filter it through our hearts and start, actually, where do we go? We go from this process of sympathy to empathy to compassion.
And also, I know, like I said, we're coming up on our break again, but how about the word to throw in their action, not to be is that the right word, apathetic?
Yeah.
We'll have to go on to that one on the next one.
And if you think of compassion, it's with passion. I always analyze compassion means with passion, which denotes an action.
That's good.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
I'm back with my friend Charlie, and I'm sitting here thinking, poor Charlie, you and I are all over the place. What we start off with is, we're changing the vocabulary of, words now, but even on the commercial, it dawned on me, it's so important to put new ideas or to bring out things to the masses and have them think on it. Like on one part of the commercial with Humanity Healing, where the heart is. if you really think about that, this is what we're trying to do. Heal humanity through the heart, through words, through actions, like you were going into the word compassion.
Yeah, well, also during the break, they're advertising for IOM Radio, and OMTimes is conscious minds.
Yeah.
So you see, we can't escape consciousness. We can try. We create illusions, and we can dull it, and we can, put up, create all kinds of falsehoods to believe in and stories, et cetera, but you can't really escape consciousness. So when and again, when you die, you become pure consciousness. So I'm not going to touch on that, but that's the reality. So it all comes from that source, that sense of one wholeness experiencing itself. With that said, we come to, words and how words have a tendency to limit us. And so in our own conscious minds, it's hard to express on a radio or, to each other. But by playing with the words and just not accepting them at their face value, but sort of morphing them into something else, what we're doing is we're expanding our consciousness. We're becoming more aware of something that we've been told for our whole lifetime. Well, you can't do that because black is black and white is white, and this is this and that's that, and that's the end of the story. And if you want 100, you want to get an A on your paper, then you better have the right answer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I ran into that a little bit too.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, just a funny story. I remember when I was probably in the third grade, and they told me we had to color these shapes. We had to draw shapes, squares and triangles, and then we had to color them. And there were a certain color. Well, I didn't want those colors. I had colored, and the teacher kept yelling at me, and then she finally came over and took my paper and threw it away.
Oh,
I know, I'm late, and from that day forth, I art to me, drawing and stuff. I can do it, but I've had this situation where that experience shut it down.
Yeah,
and I express it in other terms, but here we are just saying, at early ages, if you don't do it our way, here's the alternative. We're just going to just totally disregard you as having any value whatsoever. We're going to devaluate you and make you feel worthless. So here's what words and actions do. And what happens is your first response, so your first response was sympathetic. And that's what it was, because we recognize the energy of that because we've all experienced it. And so then the next, thought, well, there are people who just say, well, it could have been worse. They could have done this. Well, that's detaching. Okay. So when we say that, when we give somebody, well, you could think of it this way, we give it some, what you're doing is you're not connecting with your heart. You're in your head and you're saying, okay, I recognize this, but I don't want to go there. I ain't got time. This is your stuff. I got things to do, blah, blah, blah. And so you dismiss it.
Did you call that apathy at all?
Well, it becomes apathy. Apathy becomes, I think, when you don't even have the sympathetic response. That's to me, apathy is like, you just totally disregard it and just, okay, whatever, and dismiss it totally. At least you recognize sympathetically the energy trigger was there.
Okay.
And from there you go to empathy, where, it's the you feel it, and you are
become it almost.
You become it, and you experience it in your own self. So rather than shutting it down after you experience it and then trying to make it go away because you don't want to deal with it, you experience it, and then you almost take it on yourself, and it becomes part of you. And so you end up almost suffering or feeling it as deeply as the person it's occurring to. Okay, because you notice yourself, and you notice yourself in their experience, and that's connection. That's connection. So you have a connection. But then most of the time we get to that point, and then we just say, I this is too much for me to handle. I can't deal with this. And so we, again, try to help the person or try to help the situation. But then we have to withdraw because it overcomes us. And then we have to look on ourselves. The next step would be to look at ourselves and say, where was this point triggered and where did this begin? Was it the third grade teacher, or was it, et cetera, et cetera? And now, where do I go with that? I have to either let that go, forgive that person, see myself differently, or correct it back in that past situation and move on. But it doesn't do anything for the other person. We're still being, working within ourselves. Compassion, on the other hand, is with passion. And the reason I say with passion is because where is passion? Where does passion come from? And to me, passion comes from our heart. It bypasses the mind. It goes straight through the mind, right down the chakras, right into the heart chakra, and boom, there's passion. Mm-hmm. If you're thinking about passion, it's passion. Total passion is from the heart. It may go back up to the brain, and what you do with it in the mind, what you do with it then is a thought process. But true passion is from the heart. It's from the soul. It's from the source. It's from love.
But people can't. What I'm finding, or what I'm seeing, they feel in their heart, okay? But they're afraid to take action. They're afraid to be different. I see a lot of people, wonderful examples out there of just daily people saying, okay, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be good to a person. I'm going to go buy, a meal for somebody, or else I'm going to pay for something. But on the whole, we can't get past the judgment of, why is that person doing that? What's their ego? We
can't get past the third grade teacher, can we?
No. I've never been a class boy.
See, this is where symbology and storytelling is made up of words, but enhances the picture. It gives you a view. Somewhere in our lives, we were programmed to shut down. So this is what stops us from acting compassionately, is because of what? What word did you word? That 4-letter word that begins with F and ends in R. Fear.
Yeah.
And this is where, as we work on our hearts and we open our hearts and work, and it is work. For me, it's work. It's a joyous work, but it is a job. It's a full-time job to keep that flower open. That even when it rains, even when it pours, even when it snows, keep that flower open. Yeah, it may hurt. Yeah, it may not be pleasant, but keep it open as much as you can. We'll always wince in pain because we're being empathic. The empathy, you can turn the empathy off, but then when you become nothing. There is no action. But we leave that energy center open, and so we just we stand there and say, so on some level, this is what I do. And not that I'm perfect by any sense of the word, and I fail many times, but what I try to do is, on some level, this pain is like a mosquito bite. I am so big. I am so filled with light on some level that this pain does not even exist. And in that's where that's where compassion, that's where it comes from. And so then you try to draw and then say, okay, in that case, I'm not going to care what the third grade teacher says. I'm going to take this person and I'm going to buy them a meal. I'm going to give this person, this random person, I don't even know who they are. They could be a mass murderer. I'm not even interested, but I'm going to give you a ride down the street or I'm going to do this, or I have nothing. I feel like I have nothing to give, but somewhere I will find it and I will do it.
So you're eliminating fear. That's another word to get rid of. Get rid of fear, get rid of judgment. We're really demolishing language here.
It all plays. All of these words and all of these sort of blockages. I look at them as energy blocks. That what is stopping my energy from actually creating a better world? To me, it's not, irregardless of whether it's a plant, an insect, a human being. It's some living form. But I look at this because I look at everything as energy. And it's easy for me, but for others it's not so easy. But everything has an energetic value. And it has a right and responsibility to exist in this dimension. Otherwise it wouldn't be here. Mm. And so what happens is, on some level, that rock is in my body. The chemicals, the minerals, whatever makes, that's the energetic is just as much in that rock as it's within my body. So there is no difference between. Doesn't mean I'm going to say, well, don't break the rock to make the stone wall. No. But if I'm going to do that, I honor it. I look at it and say, I'm going to give you a chance at something to be better than. And that's what we're doing. Compassion is always trying to, if it doesn't, it's an action which embraces the other being and lifts it to the light it already is.
Wow.
My goodness, That was a quick 15 minutes. Where do we go there, kid?
I don't know. We need another hour. Okay. We'll be back.
Thank you. I love you.
No, we have 15 more minutes.
I know. You got it.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she's feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
We're back with Charlie. It's too short of a program. You and I found out we can talk for a long time.
Well, most people who do talk to me on the phone, after about 3 hours, it's like, oh my God, we really have a life.
I was just, yeah.
I got to do something.
That's really true. I'm just listening to the commercial and go, oh wow. Even the commercials on OMTimes, they produce so much, trigger words.
Oh yeah, expanding our souls.
Expanding our souls, conscious contact, mind, uplift humanity. I mean,
I know. It's a great, it's like, if you can't think of anything to say, just listen to the ads in between, and it gives you a whole volume of subjects to talk about.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean to hog the whole show, but, there was a statement here. It's about true compassion, and I just like to read it. True compassion reaches out to all people, no matter where they are, whether they are your friends or not, and even to all living creatures. It's the ability and willingness to stand alongside someone and to put their needs before your own. Living a compassionate life can be learned, and it's not just something that extra good people are born with. Changing habits takes persistence and practice, but is achievable through proper methods. Anyway, again, this is changing. We're changing habits, and most of the problem we have, and the reason we find ourselves sometimes struggling with compassion, is because it's not become a habit, and that's kind of where we have to go, is to look at that and make it more practice in our lives. And again, letting go of fear is sort of the first step. The fear of what will others think, what will others say. And discerning and saying, there are some times, we can't always be as compassionate as we like. And that in that case, it brings us to a place of self-judgment. Because after, or at least for me, when I haven't been as compassionate or haven't acted out on it, then I go home and I sit in judgment of myself. And this has been coming up, I think we talked beforehand, in the past several weeks to several months, the changing energies. I think we've all been facing this period of self-judgment. And I like to think of, when I started thinking about, which I always think about, is how to live better, personally and in community, co-creating with others, is, part of it is self-judgment. And compassion, for me, has brought out an issue is I need to become more compassionate with myself.
Yeah, I've heard that from many people.
And I found that, part of my lack of compassion expression for others is part of the way I've lived my whole life, struggle. For a male, it's just man up and do it, and deny your feelings and deny the feminine, empathic part of ourselves, the caring, nurturing part of which is the feminine energy. And so as we learn to balance both masculine and feminine energies, it's becoming a little bit easier for me to allow myself to be compassionate towards me. Which I never thought I really needed. And this is true. We can sit here and we can talk about all of these things, crystals, skulls, and realms, and energy, and vortexes, and quantum theory, blah, blah, blah. But then in this human body, sometimes we just need a little love, and we don't give it to ourselves.
Yeah, it's all about the heart energy. No matter where you go, what you think is all about the heart energy. I know years ago when I started with the Crystal Skull community, and I had so many, I didn't know what in the world I was doing, which always seems to be my case here. But I didn't know what I was doing, and I appealed, to certain people in leadership in the community, and, they gave me the closed door effect. like either don't bother you or you don't know what you're talking about, etc. Except for there was one person that gave me one saying. It was Nick Nacerno, and he was in the process of transitioning in life. And he read my email, and he said, always follow your heart. It'll always take you where you need to be. And I think that's really an important saying. I always add that to my emails, etc. Follow your heart. And even these discussions, follow your heart, come from your heart. Don't be so afraid of yourself. Like Charlie, has said, you need to think about you. And, even the word spirit, I think that needs to be changed. Oh boy, I'm going to roll here.
Change it all. Yeah. Go.
Because that doesn't fit either. That, you think of spirit and,
Right.
it comes from someplace else, either religious power, ideas or whatever.
So many attachments. Yeah, it has so many attachments. I find it saying, it's interesting. I find that same struggle with the word spirit these days. It's just like, where did that struggle come from? But it's always been there. It's always because somebody has always tried to define it for us as what they wanted it to be rather than what it really is, which is our true self.
So I think out of, winding down the show here a little bit, thinking about all the things we're coming from, if a word bothers you and it doesn't seem to fit anymore, expand on it.
Right.
Find something that fits you better. And we might be, in doing so, even everybody in their everyday lives, it's not just from us. It's...
We're all going through this. Everybody is going through this on some level. And what I try to keep mindful of is that we all have the capacity to get through this, and we all part and parcel came here to do this. This was part of our agreement on a higher level to say we're going to do this. Those of us who are awakening and becoming consciously aware, we're the doers. We're the action cards. That's it. So it's time to light it up, and I don't mean smoke a bone, but I'm just light up your light and do what you came here. Learn who you truly are. I have a thing I wanted to read here. It's called Dear Self. And
sure.
You've been with Dear Self. It's a letter to self, and I found it quite interesting. You've been with me through my darkest moments. No one knows the depth of my suffering except you. Please forgive me for the times that I have been less than kind to you, when I have screamed words of self-loathing at you, when I have abused you with unhealthy relationships, unhealthy food, and unhealthy substances, all in an attempt to try and kill the pain. I know those things only hurt you more. Please forgive me, as I am sure there will be moments as I learn to show you love and acceptance that I may slip back into old patterns. But I promise that I will be compassionate in those moments and never give up on you. And so I found it quite ironic. It was a letter to self. And I'm not talking about the ego self. I'm talking about the higher self that we really, truly are. And I think that's what you're experiencing with stepping into your radio show and creating a healing center. That's what I'm stepping into doing, what I'm doing in my retirement, whether it's crystal skulls or bowls or, woodworking, etc. It's unfolding. We're creating. We are really, truly creators. And that's a word that can be torn apart too. But I can assure you that if you focus on that word as a creator, that you, each and every one of us, are a creator. And we were made in the image of a creator, regardless of how you think of it. Then what the hell are you doing not being a creator?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it. That's how I truly look at it.
Yeah, I think that letter to self is so true because, like you said, it's being compassionate with yourself because we're always looking for answers, but we never really stop and just be.
Right.
So a lot of trigger words today. Like I said, we were going in one direction, one in a few other directions, but it all came together, though.
Well, you know us, we're going to go wherever we're going to be led to go. And that's from our higher selves, nobody else. That's you being the genuine being that you are, and I being the genuine and I am, and both of us just opening our hearts and letting it flow.
Yeah.
And
two crazy old people who should be retired, but we're like the 60s. We're coming again.
oh, that whole new life we're starting all over again. We do this continually, and it's a period of renewal for all of us, and everybody is experiencing this on some level, and you're not going to escape it.
No.
And I can assure you, I will tell you point blank, you're not going to escape it, because the whole planet is doing this, the whole universe is doing this, and believe me, it's going to happen. So you can go screaming and kicking, or you can say, hey, you know what? Who really am I?
And I'm sure everybody, even in the smallest village someplace, people are looking for their own identity. So in ending this show, let's follow the words that we find in Humanity on OMTimes about conscious mind and uplift society. So until next week, thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, darling. Love you.
Love you too.